Welcome to the Unwritten podcast with your host, Thomas Malpass, where we are on a mission to help the world find more purpose, passion, and peace in their everyday lives. Through deep conversations and connection, tune in because we are all on this journey of life together. Angelo Valenti, is that how you pronounce it? All right, take us back and tell us some experiences that shape who you are today and what you define purpose, passion, and peace is.
Some experiences. Well, I guess we'll start with my childhood. I had some people say they had a really terrible childhood. I had almost a perfect childhood. I no complaints, no traumas. My upbringing was a little bit different. I was raised by my grandparents because my mother was disabled from when I was very young, and she was in the house, but there wasn't too much she could do. But my grandparents were great
Yeah.
people. My grandfather was a dentist. My grandmother was a former teacher. Uh, my great grandmother was also in the house. So there were four generations in my house growing up. And I was an only child, so I got a lot of attention. Um, and I learned from that experience, I learned a lot. My grandparents were great people. They taught me responsibility, they taught me courtesy, respect for other people, um, punctuality. They really had a very structured life. And as a result, I had a very structured life. I was also an athlete. So I was playing football and baseball when I was starting in elementary school, really. So I was either
Mm-hmm.
at school, studying, or at practice. So I learned the value of good routines. Your good
Mm-hmm.
routines protect you. In other words, if you have certain things that you do every
Yeah.
day or on a
Yeah.
regular basis, you don't have to think about them anymore. That gives you time to think about, yeah, your habits, your good habits, right?
Your habits. Yeah.
Um, so I learned those, and
Mm-hmm.
passion to me is doing something that you love and trying to be as good at it as you possibly can be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
peace, peace is going to bed at night calm, knowing that you did what you could. You tried to help people. You didn't hurt anybody, and you were comfortable with yourself. And being comfortable with yourself, I think, is really an important thing. Purpose. If you're lucky, if you can find your purpose, and
Mm-hmm.
it took me a while to find mine. I was going to be first. I was going to be a dentist, and then I was going to be a teacher. And I was a teacher for a while. I never was a dentist, but I was a teacher for a while. But my purpose in life is to help people and to help businesses be better at what they do. And once I got into consulting, I fell in love with it. And
Yeah.
now, kind of later in my life, I'm repurposing myself to help people enjoy their life. I see so many people that just aren't enjoying their life as much as they should. And this is the only chance you
Yeah.
get, right? This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is it. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Life. Life is too short. It's too short. And I'm 29, but life is like I feel like I've been through enough adversities to realize that life is very short and um you just have to take the risk on
Yeah,
yourself. You have to take the chance to do what you find fulfilling. you know? And it's just hard. You probably know more about it because you've been in like business consulting, but it's hard to find that intersection between all of these purpose, passion, peace. That's why I started this podcast because I'm curious to um, build a community to figure it out and find it together because I believe it's there's like a intersection of all three that brings true fulfillment in your life when you can
Well, I can't
find
disagree
it.
with that.
And that's what a
Right.
lot of people are missing. I feel like that's what a lot of people are missing. And it's like it's because we get caught up. We get caught up in the day to day grind or just surviving or petty things
Well,
and
I
we get
think people
lost.
focus a lot on the wrong things. People are focused so much on what other people think of them, the image that they're projecting,
Mm,
what they should be doing, rather
mm,
than what they are doing. And you talked about, you
yeah.
know, betting on yourself. I think that
Mm,
it's amazing. There are so many people. They'll bet on football games. They'll bet on soccer games. They'll go to Vegas and they'll gamble, but they won't bet on themselves. And really, you have more control over yourself than you do over any of those other
yeah.
things. So you'd be better off. You'd be better off betting on yourself
At the
than betting on the
casino.
outcome of a football game where you had no control over it whatsoever.
Yeah, it's crazy how no matter what you do too, like if you do so much good and then you trip one time, your mind tends to
Well, if you
focus on
let
that
it.
one trip or failure
Well, you
versus
have
all
to.
of the good. Yeah.
Well, other
Or
people are
even
going to
other
they're going to
people
look for
too.
the weak spot in you at all times. But that's just people's natures. They especially
Mhm.
today, uh, we kind of live in a scarcity mentality where we feel like in order
Social
for me to
media.
win, you have to lose, and that's really not the way it is. It's possible for both people to win. Um, so we're
Yeah.
always looking for flaws in other people or weaknesses that we can exploit, and rather than looking for both the good in ourselves
Mhm.
and the good in others. And the mistake that people make is they take what other people think of them way too seriously. What really matters is what you think about yourself, not what other people think of you, because those opinions come and go, right? People drift in and out of your life.
Exactly,
Some
yeah.
stay a long time, some aren't there for very long. And especially in the era of social media where we are right now, people
Mhm.
instantaneously pop into your life with a comment or with a like or with something, and then they pop right back out. And if you take that really seriously, you're doomed.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot of pop-ins and pop-outs, and I think more and more of us are losing more intimate and genuine connection because um it's hard over social media. You can't really genuinely build like
No,
solid relationships over social media. And I feel like a lot of people just either use it to vent or to troll people or to feel better about themselves by making others feel less than
which is
them.
yeah, which is really counter. It's really counterintuitive. How can you feel better about yourself by making somebody else feel worse? Your situation hasn't changed at all, right? So, if for one,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Like
you
you're in the
haven't
same
changed at all,
position,
but that
but
person is less. It's somehow, and that's supposed to make you feel better. It just doesn't make it. It doesn't make any sense. If we spent more time working on ourselves, trying to be the best version of ourselves, right, rather than tearing somebody down, we'd be much better off, and they'd be much better off too. because they could work up.
Mm,
They could work on themselves, make being the best version of themselves instead of being bombarded by the negative noise that they get from outside that really
mm.
has no real value at all.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
you heard of like keyboard warriors,
Oh,
like
sure.
they're confident behind the keyboard, but in real
Oh, sure.
life,
It's
it'd be
like an
a
updated
different
version of
story.
beer
Yeah.
muscles. You feel like you're stronger when you're drunk. Beer muscles. You're drunk,
Of
so you
what?
feel like you could beat somebody else. Well, it's the same kind of
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
People will say things to others online through their keyboard that they'd never say to a person face to face, because there's consequences when you're dealing with somebody face to face, and when you're on a keyboard, there's no consequence. There's no, yeah, you might, but
you
there's no
might get punched in the
consequences.
face.
Or you'll see the other person's reaction if you're face to
Yeah,
face, and that'll generate some kind of an emotional response in you if you have any kind of empathy at all in you, and you say something hurtful to somebody. Uh, it may have more of an impact on you if you see the
yeah,
person's reaction to that than if it's just kind of a comment on a social media post. You don't know what their reaction is. And I think I put even put, eh, I
yeah.
am
Are you on social
most of
media?
my posting is on LinkedIn because that's business to business, and I have some insights that I think that I like to share with business people, and I like to learn what
Mm,
their insights are too. I do have a Facebook account, I do have an Instagram account, but I can't really say I'm
yeah,
active. The only thing I'm doing right now is promoting my book on Facebook and on Instagram. And I even put a section in my
yeah.
book, "Don't argue with idiots." On on the internet, it's pointless. I mean, you have you has anybody ever changed your
Oh,
mind?
you put that in
What's
there?
that? Yeah, I got a section in there. Don't argue with idiots.
You put that in there? Don't argue with idiots.
Oh, that
What's that
section
section
is
about?
about choices that you can make that can help you to enjoy life by taking care of yourself. You know, I have a little section in there. Try to be a little bit more active. Take care of your body as best you can, and without going crazy about it. Just take a little walk, do a little bit of exercise. Don't eat quite as much junk food. Try to get yourself in as good health as you can, so that you can do the other things that are important to you. There's just take a nap. Little things you can do.
Mhm.
Be grateful. If you have an attitude of gratitude, every day is going to be a little bit better.
That's the big one
That
for
is,
me.
be grateful for what you have instead of be envious for what you don't have. Be polite. Simple. These are simple things that seem to have gone
Yeah.
away. Politeness is,
People take
oh,
for granted
people
now.
are so
Yeah.
rude to one another where they never would have been the case in years past, in generations past. I think we have a generation that's so
Mhm.
self-involved that they forget how to be polite. So that's the section on decision making, and
Yeah.
I end that chapter
Where
with "Don't argue with idiots,"
mhm.
because on social media you see it all the time, the back and forth, the hate, the venom, and nobody changes anybody's mind. Nobody changes your mind by if you argue with somebody on social media. Are they going to change your mind? No, your mind's already made up, and you're not going to change their mind either. So what you end up is realizing some people agree with you and some people don't agree with you. But you knew that going in. That
No.
what you
Yeah.
end up with, that some people agree with you and some people don't, but you already knew that. So what's the point of arguing?
No, my take on arguing and people on social media is it's
Oh,
a
sure.
waste of my energy. Like if I see it as like if anyone who tries to troll or bring you down or anything on social media, I take it as like that's like their spark of fire and if you bounce back, you're just fueling that fire, and it's a waste of your own fire.
It is.
That's how I see it. It's a waste of your own fire. So why use your energy or your fire, whatever,
I
to
I totally
towards
agree
that
with that.
energy?
And in your personal
That's how
relationships,
I
not
see
even
it.
your social media relationships, I think it's important to just hang around with people that are
Mhm.
uplifting, that make you feel better about life, make you feel better about yourself, and just they're doing fun, interesting things. They're upbeat, positive, happy people. Hang around those people and get rid of the people that drain the energy from you.
Yeah.
They're always complaining, always negative, never have anything good to say. They're
Yeah.
always down about life. They're down about whatever. You don't need to be around those people. They're going to drag you down with them, or they're going to try.
Yeah, it just goes back to that it goes back to that saying, you become the 5 people you hang around.
Oh yeah,
Have you heard
I
of
think
that?
I think there's a lot of truth to that. And you can
So if you're
right,
yeah, if you're surrounded by 5 Debbie
and
Downers.
uh, and you can
Yeah.
choose your friends. You can choose who you hang out with. That is a choice you can make. I mean, you can't
Mhm.
always choose who you work with. I mean, in your work environment, you're going to be around some people that maybe you like more than others, or some people you rather hang out with more than others. But in your personal life, who you choose to associate with is totally up to you. So if you're not if you're not happy with the direction of your life or with
Yeah,
how you feel
exactly.
about yourself, look around and maybe the people that you're hanging around with are having an influence on you that isn't good.
Yeah. So what got you into psychology?
What got me into psychology? I was going to be, like I said, I was going to be a dentist, and I went to college to be a dentist. And all the classes I was
Yeah.
taking to be a dentist, I hated them.
Yeah.
So I took Psych 101 as an elective, and I really liked it. And then I took Psych 102.
Mm.
And what really got me into psychology was I decided I'd major or I'd minor in psychology. I'd major in science and minor in psychology. So Psych 201 was abnormal psychology.
Mhm.
And the professor at that time was the president of the American Psychological Association. He was a great teacher, brilliant guy, and a wonderful lecturer. And he just turned me on. I really got excited. It was the first time I really felt energized in a class. You know, usually I go to class just to learn stuff. But in this one, it spoke to me. It really just kind of
Yeah.
got me excited. So I
Mhm.
decided to major in psychology, and I went home and told my grandfather, who was a dentist, I said, I'm not going to be a dentist. I'm going to be a psychologist. And to his credit, he said, well, just do the best you can. Be the best psychologist you can be. So that's what I decided to do. So I went to
Yeah.
graduate school, got a PhD in psychology. And nope, never looked back.
And you never looked back. So what has been your experiencing, like, consulting
Well,
over the
I
years?
really enjoy consulting. It gives me a chance to work with business people. And one of the things I love about business people is they're really interested in making their businesses better. And that means also the people that are working in those businesses. They
Grow,
want to make them
yeah.
better. Businesses exist
Mhm.
to provide products and services that other people want to buy, right? So the idea is to make is the ultimate idea is to make money,
Mhm.
but if you can make a difference along the way, that's nice too. Companies that do good things and don't make any money don't last very long. They don't stay around very long. So businesses want to do whatever they can to make their customers happy, to make the people that work there happy, and provide an environment where you can, if you're going to spend 8, 9, 10 hours a day there, it might as well be as fun, educational, fulfilling as possible. And that's what business owners and executives, for the most part, want to do. And that's where I can help them. Because most business people are really good at running their. They know their business, they know their products, they know their services, they know their customers, they know their markets. What they're not that great at is understanding people, and that's where I
Mm,
can help them.
yeah, that makes sense. Because you could have like the best product and service, but if the environment isn't good, you know,
Well, you absolutely.
it could
You,
destroy
yes, you
people's
can, and
livelihoods.
you can make it a miserable place to work, and you see that
Yeah,
all the time. You see, if you I don't know if you read the Wall Street Journal or not, but you read about businesses that
Wall
that
Street. Yeah,
suffer
Wall Street.
because leadership doesn't know how to treat its people
Mhm.
or their customers. You know,
What has been like the best business that you
oh,
worked for?
I've worked with a lot of really tremendous businesses. I worked for 30 years uh, for an electrical distribution company. They sell electrical supplies to contractors. It's a privately held company, and they like to keep things private. So I won't mention any names, but very successful, huge company,
Mhm.
um, and very people intensive. And the thing I love about that business is you could start in that company as a truck driver and end up as a branch manager or as a divisional manager or as a regional manager. You can be promoted based on your abilities.
Mhm.
And I believe in a
Yeah.
meritocracy where the people who perform the best rise to the top. And in that business, that's literally the case. You don't need to get a college
No,
education to
I
start in that
agree. I
business.
agree.
Oh,
That's how a lot of
sales
sales
jobs.
jobs are too.
My first client was Northwestern Mutual Life, which is life insurance sales. And back when I started 40 something years ago, um, they sold
Mhm.
whole life insurance on a commission basis. They were commission salespeople, so they had to go out there and kill what they ate. So if they didn't make any sales, they didn't make any money, and it was pure sales. And the people who
Mhm.
were really good at it could make a tremendous amount of money, but it was all based on their abilities. How well could they relate to their customers? How well could they connect? How well could they fill a need? You know, sales is nothing but identifying a need and filling that need, right?
You
Oh, you
truly have to
absolutely.
believe in the product too, because if you don't truly back the product yourself, it's kind of hard to sell somebody else on it when you're not even
Oh, that's
sold on
true.
it.
But if you are sold on it, if you're passionate about it,
Does
you
that
know,
make sense?
if you use that product or service yourself,
Yeah, you have to have a
yeah.
passion for that.
Otherwise, you're just
Yeah.
lying, right? You're just lying to your customer, and they'll figure it out eventually.
Fake it till you make it.
Well, that's
Nah.
the other, you know, a lot of people have been successful doing that.
Nah, those are the skeezy scale
What's that?
salespeople. Those are the skeezy
Oh yeah,
salespeople
well, you
that
know,
lie
you
to
can't.
people.
It's hard to get away with that anymore because so much information is available. The traditional
Mm.
skeevy salesman that you mentioned was a used car salesman, right? Well, 40, 40, 30, 40, 50 years
Oh
ago,
yeah.
nobody really knew what a used car was worth. And so what you paid for that car could be
Hmm.
wildly overpriced based on how good the salesperson was. But now that information, everybody has that information. Every used car is available online right now. So you can compare and contrast, and you can get, you know, what the price range is for that car. That never used to be the case.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what a new car really cost. Nobody
Yeah.
knew what a used car cost. Nobody knew what repair costs were. It was all they were just making stuff up. They were, you know, telling you to put undercoating in your car, and nobody even knew what undercoating was. They just charge you an extra $900 for undercoating, and They didn't know. You didn't know whether they undercoated anything or not.
So what do you think it really takes for the people that succeed versus those that don't?
There's there's a saying that it's almost a cliche, but I believe it's really true. Successful people are those people that will do the necessary but unpleasant things that unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. Necessary but unpleasant. That could mean getting up at 4 o'clock and plan your
Yeah.
day. That could mean driving 100 miles to visit with a customer. That could mean mortgaging your house to start your own business. Okay? Successful people are willing to do those things, and unsuccessful people, they want the result, but they aren't willing to put in the effort, the time, the energy, the thought, the money to achieve
The
that
instant
result. Sure, they
gratification.
all they
Yeah.
see people say, excuse me, I want to get into commission sales because they see guys driving around in BMWs and going to play golf with their customers, and they think that's what sales is, but they don't know what those guys did to get to that point. They're an overnight success, but it took 15 years to get there.
Hmm.
And that's in a lot of businesses. In most,
Yeah, because people only see
yeah, they see
the
the
success.
trapping.
They don't see
They see the trappings.
the
They see
daily
the house,
grind.
the cars, the vacations, the
Yeah.
whatever, the lifestyle. But they don't see what it took to get there. And most entrepreneurs who have very successful businesses have started 10 or 15 businesses before that weren't successful, but they just kept right on going because that was their passion. Starting businesses was their passion. And then they hit on one and it becomes whatever.
Yeah. I had a business idea myself and I guess I gave up on it. I I really believed in the idea too, and I still think there's a place for it in the marketplace. Um, but I felt like I needed help and I didn't have any help. Like it was just me trying to do every single thing and
So,
yeah, I kind of gave up, but
well,
I still have it in the back of my head like I would want to do that one day.
let me ask you a question. You told me you're in Austin, Texas, right? I will bet you that in Austin, Texas, there's an
Mhm.
entrepreneur center that focuses on helping people start businesses. And they're going to have advisors that can give you said you needed help. Well, sometimes you got to ask for help or go look for where the help is. And I'm not telling you to start a business today, but I'm just telling you if
Uh-huh.
you think it's a great idea and you just need a little bit of help to get started, that help is out there, but you got to look for it.
Yeah, I really believed in this idea and I don't know, maybe one day I'll put in more work to do it, but right now I'm just focused on building this podcast to
Well,
be
good. I hope you make
in
it.
the top 100.
I could say I knew you when.
Yeah, that's my 10-year goal.
I
Huh?
can say I knew you way back when, before you were rich and famous. I could be one of the little people that helped you get to the top.
Yeah, that's where all my
Well, that's
energy is
good.
going right now.
You know, podcasts have gotten to be,
Yeah. Right now I'm just trying to figure out.
it's become a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, really. It really has. It kind of blew up ever since I started listening to podcasts. They blew up I think
I
during
think so
COVID, to
too.
be honest, where everybody was just like
And they're sitting
lost
around
and
their house. I can't leave
didn't
the
know what to
house,
do. They started
so
listening
they start
to
listening to podcasts. And then, of course, shoot, I can do
yeah,
that.
They started listening to motivational podcasts.
I actually had,
Yeah,
right,
but most
exactly.
people really can't.
I actually had in 2005, this before the word podcast existed, I think, I had an internet radio show. It was something like,
Radio.
it was Voice America or
Yeah.
something. I can't remember what it was. But, we broadcast over the internet. This is 2005, keep in mind. So I was still dial up for most people. Um, and I did this show I can't remember if it was
Yeah.
every week or every month. I think it was every month. And I'd have a guest, and we'd do a great interview, and it'd be an hour, and it's really good shows. And I was having a great time, but they didn't have the analytics at the time to tell you how many people were listening or how many clicks there were none of that stuff. So
Mm,
finally they sent me some analytics, and I realized, like, I'm doing this show and like 20 people are listening. So what is what's the point of going through all this effort for 20
yeah.
people listening?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too. Uh, like starting it, it's discouraging, but I think it's just part of that growth process and having true fulfillment by doing what you do, doing the work, finding fulfillment in the work, you
Yeah,
know?
well, if you're enjoying it and you feel like you're bringing value to the people who are going to be listening to it, it'll be fine. It may not be top 100 for a while, but maybe it will. But you just got to keep plugging away. The people. I don't know any
Yeah.
great success stories about people who quit. Right? There's the people because they quit. Right? Um,
Yeah, cause they quit, yeah.
right. You never gave
You
yourself a
never got a
chance, and you
chance to
never
succeed.
know when that next opportunity is going to present itself. But if you quit, the answer is always
Mhm.
no. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. And if you quit, you never know how far you could have got. And you regret it. The things you regret in life are the things you didn't do, not the things you did.
Why do you why do you think people
They get
quit?
discouraged because it's too hard. They can't fight. They can't fight through the discouragement.
Yeah,
They wonder what the point is. If they
yeah.
had a good point to begin with, you got to keep what the point of what you're doing is in mind. And if it's a good point to begin with, then you just got to keep plugging away at it. I mean, I've been consulting for 41
Yeah,
years. You think there weren't times when I wondered whether I should keep on going or not?
yeah.
I mean, I've been through, how many recessions I've been through since 1982? You know, 1982, 1987,
At least like 4,
1992,
right? At least like 4.
1996. Talk about a shock. 9/11. When 9/11 hit, people don't remember this is 20 something years ago. Businesses just shut down. They quit doing anything because they didn't know we didn't know whether we were going to be going to war, whether we were getting attacked, whether there was going to be we didn't know what was going on. So people kind of retrenched, and for a while there was not
Mhm.
much business activity going on. Same thing happened with COVID, and that happened really fast. In 2020, in January
Yeah.
2020, business looked a certain way. By the end of March 2020, business looked totally different. And that affected every business, drove some people out of business through no fault of their own. I had a great little restaurant that I used to eat breakfast every Monday morning that was in a business park, a lot of office buildings nearby. Okay, so they depended on walk in traffic from the office buildings, right? They were only open for business for breakfast and lunch. Well, when those office buildings, when nobody was going into the office, what do you think happened to their business? It went away. They couldn't survive. So, that's, and that was through, like I said, through no fault
Yeah.
of their own. They had a good business and they had a good customer base, but if the customer base can't leave the house to go get to them, what are they supposed to do? And there was no online. They weren't. So they just
Yeah.
folded up their tent. They had to. They had no choice. And so, you know, they may have started another business by now. I don't know, because they left town. They had to leave town. They're good people, and they just had to leave town. But the point is, you have to be able to survive the ups and downs, because there's gonna be ups and downs in any business. And nobody
Mm.
rides. In 2003 or 4, Apple was not what Apple is today. What saved them was the iPhone. The iPhone
The
changed
iPhone, yeah.
Apple's trajectory forever. And Amazon, yeah, and
Yeah,
nobody's
that's like
buying
their
Macs
main product
anymore,
now.
right? But the iPhone, it changed the way people
Yeah.
communicate with one another. It really did. It changed the world. For the
Mm.
smartphone, really is, when you think about it, you have the entire accumulated knowledge of the world in your pocket through the internet, which is in your phone. You have GPS in your phone. You, right? I mean, who
Yeah.
25, 30 years ago, well, let's say 30 years ago, nobody envisioned that.
It's yeah. Yeah. We grew as a species, I guess you want to say, like exponentially in the past like 100 years. we've
Oh,
we've like grown
absolutely.
technologically advanced like exponentially.
Yep. I mean,
It's crazy.
when I was
Yeah.
born in 1949, nobody had TVs in 1949. Few people did, not many people. There weren't hardly any TV shows. So you go from when there nobody has TV shows to you can watch anything you want to watch anytime you want to watch on a device that you carry around with you all the time. I mean, think about that. Anywhere, right? I
Anywhere
mean,
you
when I started consulting in 1982, my long distance bill was $500-600 a month in 1982 dollars, because you had to go through AT&T. You had to go through a
damn.
landline carrier to route your long distance calls, and you pay by the minute or by the hour, so, and
Well, AT&T back in the day,
they did have a
they had a
monopoly. Yeah.
monopoly on that.
And so, and now I don't have a long distance bill. Basically, I can call almost anywhere in the world, either on my
Yeah.
computer or on my phone.
I think it's just foreign, like foreign
Yeah, but I can Zoom
calls
somebody
you have to pay extra
for
for, I
free,
think.
right?
Oh yeah, yeah. True, yeah, true.
Sure.
So I want to get into more about your book, and I want to ask you. Um, so your book is titled "You're Making This Way Too Hard. Find Your Easy Way
Enjoy life.
to Enjoy Life." I had two questions. I had first. Is that an acronym or is that just
Sure.
like
Well, that's the reason I put that.
what? What is and why is it spelled
The
that
reason
way?
I put that in the title, because that's my license plate. NJOYLFE is my license plate. And if you've seen the
That's your
cover of my book, there's a little car on the cover with the license plate, enjoy life. So
Yeah.
I've had that
I
license
think I
plate since
had it pulled up.
1991. Are you looking at it right now? Yeah. So I've had
Yeah.
that license plate since 1991,
Yeah, I see it.
and it's been on every car I've had since. And I usually, I've done fairly well in my career. So most of the cars I've had have been high end cars, either Mercedes or Porsches. So, so a few years ago,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
You
just
like
got one
luxury
car at a
cars?
time. When I have a car, I just drive the car till it won't run anymore, and then I get another one. Yeah,
You
I
get
mean,
to
it
the
takes a
ground?
while to beat a
Yeah.
Mercedes to the ground. So I haven't had that many cars, but the ones I've had are good.
What's the most amount of miles
I
you
had
put
a
on a car?
Porsche 944 that I put 120,000 miles on. It's pretty good. It is. That's a lot
Oh, that's not even
because
that
I'm not
much.
taking that many trips. It's like mostly around town or 3 or 4 hour trips.
Yeah,
Oh
that's not
no
that
no no
bad. I
no
was expecting like
no!
200
I get the
something.
itch after a while. Um, Over 100,000 miles, I'll get an itch to get another one. So I get another one. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I'm in a parking lot of a restaurant, and I'm waiting for my to go order, and the car I was driving at the time was a Mercedes. It was an SL 550, the little 2-seat hardtop convertible Mercedes. So there's a note on my car when I get out. I read
Mm.
the note. It said, "I'd enjoy life too if I had millions of dollars in the bank and drove a $110,000 car." So I would look around. I
What?
wanted to talk to that person so bad because to tell them that they had cause and effect backwards. I don't enjoy life because of whatever stuff I have. I have whatever stuff I have because I enjoy life.
They placed a
See,
contingency.
cause and effect. If you think
Yeah.
stuff's going to make you happy, you're
Mhm.
doomed because stuff will not make you happy. It's like eating cotton
Mhm.
candy. It feels good for a while, gives you a little sugar high, but after the sugar high wears off, you're right back where you started. So one of the things I
Yeah, I think that's the big issue.
yeah
Yeah.
I was gonna say people
Go ahead.
think money is going to make them happy, and my contention is that money does a much better job of making people unhappy than it does of making people happy. And here's an excerpt from my book. Let me ask you a question. If you woke up tomorrow morning and there was $1 million in cash at the foot of your bed, you'd be pretty happy, right? Cash, tax free, right? Yeah, you'd be
Yeah,
pretty happy. Who
I'd be
wouldn't be?
happy.
Everybody would be. So if I told you I'll give you $1 million right now, but you won't wake up tomorrow morning, what would you say to me?
You keep it.
Exactly. You turn it down. Everybody would turn it down. So getting up, the act
Yeah.
of getting up in the morning is worth more than $1 million. That's the way you need to think about money.
That's a good mindset to have. A
Yeah, it's a
mindset shift to
mindset.
have.
It is a mindset shift. But you think if you wake up in the morning, you have a world of possibilities in front of you. If you're dead, those possibilities are over. You know when when the game is
Mhm.
over, when the chess game's over, the king and the pawn both go in the same box. They're both just as dead. Doesn't doesn't matter what you have when you're dead.
Yeah, I think the big issue is that people in their pursuit of happiness, they tend to gravitate on putting contingencies on that
Like
happiness.
I'll be happy
It's always an "I'll be happy
if,
if" or "I'll be
I'll
happy
be happy if,
happy
I'll be
when."
happy when, and that's
Yeah, and
exactly
it's like you should. Yep.
that's exactly backwards. You got to be the person you want to be, and then you'll do the
Mhm.
things that are necessary to have what you want to have. If you have You can't start with, if I just had this, I would do this and then I'd be that. Doesn't work that way. You know, if you're a miserably unhappy person and all of a
So
sudden, go ahead.
what is the
You go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, no. Okay. No, I was gonna ask you what is the
The
easy
easy
way?
way is to figure out what gives you joy, not happiness, joy. The joy where you wake up in the morning whistling or singing or feeling, and that joy, it's different from person to person. Some people get tremendous joy from the work that they're doing. Some people get tremendous joy from reading or from one of their hobbies or recreational activities. Some people
Mm,
it's exercise. Some people it's community. It's just being around other people and socializing. What gives you joy, and then doing something that gives you joy every day. Okay? And part of that is, again, I mentioned self care. Take care of
mm,
your body, take care of yourself physically. Because if you don't have your health, you don't have crap. I mean, you just don't. Um, and not everybody's got great health, but you can be in as good a health as you possibly can be. So you take care of your health. And then you take care of your mindset. Again, be grateful. Find something every day to be grateful for. Wake up every morning and write down three things in a gratitude journal. Three things that you're grateful for. And try to take joy in the simple things. You know,
mhm.
it's, I mentioned to you, it's snow. We got like 8 inches of snow yesterday. Well, I grew up in Cleveland and I've seen plenty of snow. But
Yeah.
when I looked out of my backyard, it was pretty. It was a nice fresh snow. It wasn't dirty. It was just everything had nice little piles of
Mm,
snow on it. And I just kind of smiled and I said, well, that's pretty. It's a pain in the neck. It's going to be tough to drive, and I got to shovel my driveway. But right now, it's pretty. So pet a puppy. That makes you feel good. Do something that gives you genuine, honest joy. Laugh every day. I mean, it's simple things. You know, people get
yeah.
so caught up in the, if I could take a trip to Europe for 2 weeks, that'd make me feel better. So you take a trip to Europe and you come back, and you know what? All those problems that you had when you left are still right there. So if you're not enjoying what you're doing, they didn't go anywhere. They just stacked up waiting for you to come back. Um, so you got to be thinking about what gives you joy, what makes you feel good about yourself, and how can I be in as many good relationships as I can be. So the secret to enjoying life is make good choices and be in good relationships and taking care of yourself. Three things. Right? And when you think about
I I
the
second
problems that
that.
people get
Yeah,
into.
because
Let's say you've got a drug problem. Not that you have a drug problem. Let's say somebody has a drug problem. At some point in their life, at some they made a decision to try that drug for the first time, right?
mhm.
That was a decision.
Yeah.
And a lot of other decisions
Yeah.
were the result of that first decision. And where you are today,
Yeah.
yeah, is the
And then it's
sum
like a
total
snowball effect.
of all of the decisions you've made up to now. If you're not happy in your career, ask yourself, did I study as hard in school as I could have, or did I skip
Yeah.
class, or was I more interested in partying with my friends, or did I choose the right major? Was I really thinking that being an English history major was going to get me a good job somewhere? What was it? So you got to analyze those decisions that you made and understand that those got you to where you are now. And just because you made bad decisions yesterday doesn't mean you have to keep making bad decisions today. You can change the making bad decisions today.
Yeah, I believe everybody my take on that is I believe everybody has a tipping point where they realize exactly what you've been saying. Like, I've gotten myself in this position, and the tipping point is the realization that you can get yourself out of it as well.
Being such terrible, if you're even if you're in jail or something really awful, there's a way to get out of it usually. If you just got to change your mindset, change the way you're looking at the world. And the first step you mentioned, the first step is recognize that you got yourself there so you can get yourself out of it. And if you're expecting somebody else, your guardian angel or somebody to help you get out of it, you're probably wrong. You got to think about doing it yourself. But if you work on doing it yourself, you'll find that other people will see that and they'll want to help you. They'll come along for the ride.
Yeah,
If you start making good choices, that will attract other people to you who are going to help you change the direction of your life.
exactly. Well, Angelo, I'm gonna lead into my final
Sure.
questions. It's kind of similar to the intro. I asked the same questions to keep some structure
Right.
in the show. Um, so, first question is, what has been your biggest regret in life, if you have any, or
Uh, I don't think about regrets very much because they're all really learning experiences. Um, my first wife is going to hate me for
Mhm.
saying this, but she doesn't like me that much to begin with. Uh, I wouldn't have gotten married until I was 30 if I had. If there's, but on the other hand, I've got great kids and grandkids, and I love them to death. So that's really not a regret. But the trajectory, and I'm so happy with my life right now that if I'd have changed one thing, it would have changed everything else. It's the
Yep.
butterfly effect, chaos theory, if you will. So I really don't have any regrets. I wouldn't change a thing because I really like where I am right now. Maybe I would have started playing golf earlier. That would have been that would have been good. It might be better at it.
Yeah, this question is really just to get people's take on it, on regrets in general. That's why I came up with this question, because I'm the same way, you know. You live and you learn, and your regrets are
That's all they
just
are.
learning experiences.
They're what got you to where you are now.
All right, next question. Who or what has made the biggest impact in your life so far that makes you who you
My
are?
grandparents, for sure. I'll still think about them. My grandfather's been dead since 1977. My grandmother's been
Grandparents.
dead since 2001. But the lessons they taught me early on, still with me. I imparted them to my children, and I'm going to impart them to my grandchildren. And I try to live them every day. They were just so such good, decent, honest people that really loved me unconditionally. They never raised their voice to me, but they told me when I disappointed them and that I could do better. So I think about them. So they had the biggest influence on me for sure.
Yeah, what do you think made them that way? They grew up in what time
Well, my
period?
grandfather was born in 1901. My grandmother was born in 1907. So they were products of the Depression. And the Depression in the late 20s uh, shaped a lot of people's outlook on life. They were very conservative when it came to money. They believed in saving money because they saw what it was like when people didn't have any money. I mean, my grandfather, as I mentioned, was a dentist, and they got through the Depression pretty well because people still need to get their teeth taken care of. But He told me people used to pay him with a chicken or a pig or something. They didn't have
Yeah,
any
yeah.
money, so they pay him with whatever they had. Uh, but he, but he still,
Uh,
yeah, he
pay
still
you with
took care of
food.
him.
Yeah,
Uh, but so they taught, they were very
yeah,
responsible. They were very conservative, and they had a real helping spirit. They were not envious of anybody else. They just were trying to take care of their family. Uh, and I think a lot of people in that generation, the people who fought in World War II,
yeah.
the greatest generation, you look at the values that those people had compared to the values that people have now, and you can kind of see where we're so in some people's minds we're way off course, and other people's minds we're just changing course. But
Drifted.
I think we're adrift right now, um, because nobody has a strong moral compass. So you got
I
to, and
agree.
they did have a strong moral compass. They, whether you agreed with that compass or not, they were firm in their convictions. And there's an old saying: you got to stand for,
Yeah, because our mind is
you got to
or
fall
what'd you
for
say?
anything,
What's the
right?
old saying?
I said you got to stand for something.
You,
There's a song like that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because because today it's so different because our minds are taken away from all of the
Well,
distractions.
if you think about it,
So,
whether you know it or
yeah,
not, you're being brainwashed. Everybody's being brainwashed. I mean, we're the well
subconscious. Yeah,
subconsciously
subconsciously.
we're being fed what people want us to hear. And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but Mark
Mm.
Twain said 100 and something years ago, if you don't if you don't read the paper, you're uninformed, and if you do read the paper, you're misinformed. So so he kind of knew that the media was
Mm.
not being honest with us 100 and something, maybe that was probably 130, 140 years ago that he said that. But it's still true today, that you don't know, if just because you read it or hear it
No,
or
I
see
agree.
it
Yeah.
somewhere doesn't mean it's true. So it's, you have to be a
Yeah,
critical thinker, and you
exactly.
have to learn to think for yourself. And we're not teaching people to think critically. When I went to college, we were taught how to think. People who are going to college now are taught what to think, and that's a big difference.
Hmm. That's I don't want to get too into it, but that's the big issue with um just the education system as a whole, to be honest. Um, because it was the education system was originally made. I read this about who was it? The Rockefellers during the big like industrial revolution boom. He helped them create the education system to basically breed
Yeah,
factory workers. So and it hasn't changed
no,
since then. It has the same structure.
well,
So yeah, that's the big issue with it today.
again,
But
and one of the things,
anyways,
I hate to go back to my grandparents again, but my grandmother was a teacher, and whenever I asked her a question like, "What makes a rainbow?" just for example, and back then we had a World Book Encyclopedia in your house. There was no internet, so you actually bought the actual physical World Book Encyclopedia. So she did. There's the encyclopedia. Go look up rainbows, and why don't you tell me about it once you read about it? So I basically wrote a report about rainbows and brought them back to her and told her about rainbows. And
mm,
what that taught me is, if I want to know something about it, do some research. Do your own research. So I learned to do my own research. And if you don't think that came in handy, when I was doing my master's thesis or my doctoral dissertation, you're wrong. I mean, I just so doing research came naturally to me because I learned it at a very early age, and thinking for myself, doing my own research came naturally to me.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing about today is people are just too lazy to do the research and fact check, and
Yeah.
even though we have
Well,
so
they don't.
much information,
Well, you think
um
they
it
they
can
don't dig into it.
sometimes
They
be
don't really
feel
dig into a subject.
overwhelming, you know.
They skim.
Yeah.
People skim. They don't do research. They just superficially look at the surface of an issue, and they never dig into the details of it.
I don't know, man. It's just people just get lost in it all, I think. I think it can get overwhelming. I think that's the big thing. But uh let me
Sure.
continue these final questions. All right. What was one lesson you learned the hard way?
One lesson I learned the hard way: um, don't take shortcuts. Don't try to shortcut the process.
Don't
Go
take
through the whole
shortcuts.
process, whatever it is. Because if you take shortcuts, you're going to miss some steps along the way that you're going to have to go back and do it again.
I agree. You can't shortcut
Don't.
shortcut the work. Um okay. What would so this is the next question. What would you want to experience in life if time or money was not an issue?
Um, well, it'd be it. This is going to sound stupid. I'd like to fly in a fighter jet one time because I always when I was a kid I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I never so I'd like to fly in a fighter jet, and I'd like to play Augusta. I'd like to play Augusta National
Yeah.
golf where they play the
You'd
where they
like to
play
do
the
what?
Masters.
Oh,
Play Augusta
golf?
National. It's the only course on my bucket list. Yeah, where they play the Masters
Augusta
golf tournament.
National?
Yeah,
Uh
because I played golf all over the world, and that's one
yeah.
course I can't get on. So if anybody's listening, please take me out to play Augusta National.
So that's what you do if you had all the time and all the
I'd be
money
play,
in the
yeah,
world, you'd be flying jets and playing golf.
yeah. I just, which is kind of just like an upscale. That's an upscale version of what I'm doing right
That
now.
sounds fun though. That's fun. That sounds fun. I think learning how to fly would be really fun, to be
Yeah.
honest. Okay. My final question is, do you have any personal insights on your journey of discovering self that would resonate with the audience?
Boy, that's a deep question to end on. And I would say be in, don't just drift through life. Be intentional. Think about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And if it makes sense to be doing it. Don't do it because everybody else is doing it. Don't do it because you think you should do it. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it important? Is it meaningful to me? And focus on those things. Be intentional. Don't do things by accident.
Yeah, be intentional about your life.
Yeah.
Don't drift through your life. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate what you're doing. Your field is important, and if anybody's listening, Go check out his book. Um, you're making this way too hard. Find your easy way to enjoy life.
Yep.
All right, man. Thank